Hey everyone, Cleo here, and today I'm starting a new short video series, and that is a series all about book series. It is inspired by a series that Becca from Becca and the Books does every year, in which she goes over the progress that she has made in her series throughout that year. So I want to do the same. I want to give you guys an update every year, maybe around September or something like that. But in order to do that, I feel like I need to lay the groundwork here and kind of give you guys an overview of where we are at this point in time. And I'm not going to be doing that in a single video because I have too many series apparently to talk about. But so I'm going to give you a few videos which are the books that I'm currently in the middle of. Hello, we have a guest star as well, a little head popping up there. But so the books that I'm currently in the middle of, meaning that I still have a few books that are published already to get through. Books that I have caught up to, meaning that there are still books that are going to be published within that series, but at this point in time I've read everything that I possibly can within that series. And then books that I've completed, book series that I've completed, so meaning the series is over and done with and I have read every single one of them. And then finally the books that I've abandoned, basically series that I've decided aren't worth my time anymore, that I have no interest in continuing on with. There are also book series that I've read books of, but I basically consider that book that I read in that series to be a standalone. I don't consider it to be part of a series. Mainly that is the case for, sort of like companion style series, where each book kind of features a different protagonist, for example. Some other examples are perhaps like The Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments, where the second book came out like 30 years after the first one, and I'm not always interested in continuing on. In the case of The Handmaid's Tale, I was not interested, but I did continue, and I hated myself for it. But since that category is like 90% romance novels, because it happens a lot of times with romance that you have companion-style sequels, I don't think that I'm going to do a video on it because I don't really have anything to say about those books. But so without further ado, today we are diving into the book series that I am currently in the middle of. Meaning that, I still have a few books to go to before I am caught up or completed the series. So, in no particular order, let's go through those particular ones. The first one that I've got here is the Alex Rider series by Anthony Horowitz. So this is the first one, called Stormbreaker in English, I think. This is a series that I started when I was a teenager. It is about a sort of like 16-year-old spy who is basically recruited to be part of MI6 and who's sent out on these missions. I really love that series, but I don't even know whether we're already completed or not, because I was caught up to I think I have the first 9 books, I think, and so I've read all of those, and I think I also read the 10th one on e-reader. But first off, these covers constantly change, so I have 3 different covers for this. And secondly, at this point in time, I kind of lost my interest with that. They're part of my childhood, and so while I think back fondly to them, and while I'm sure that I would still enjoy continuing on with them, I'm not sure. But I haven't completely decided to abandon them yet neither, so that's why it's in this particular section of the video. Next up, we have a book that's part of a trilogy that I never even realized was part of a trilogy, and that is Beloved by Toni Morrison, which is apparently part of a trilogy. And, I'm keeping it on here because I have been meaning to read more Toni Morrison, and so it would be perfect to then just read the Beloved trilogy. Now, Beloved is a very hard-hitting book. It deals with child death. And, I don't remember too much more about it except for death and how impactful that was to read about. It is a book by a Black author as well. For those of you who don't know Toni Morrison, she is a very respected figure within literature in general, and so I want to read more of her work. She definitely has other books that are quite well known, such as Jazz and the Bluest Eye, for example, and so I've been meaning to reread this one, and so when I do so, I want to read the trilogy, because I don't even know if this is the first book in the trilogy or not, whether they are companion novels or whether there's a real overarching story to it or not, so I guess I'll find out whenever I reread this one. Next up, we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is a series of comic books, which is a sort of modernization of the Buffy story. Basically, the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of is taking place in the 90s, and so this would be that same sort of story, more or less, if it were to take place nowadays. I've only read the first volume so far, but I really like the art style to it. And, you know, the diversity in the cast is kind of there from the beginning now. You know, some of the cast members throughout the run of the show Buffy would explore such things such as sexuality, or, you know, would have a little bit more character depth to them than they originally had in these sort of like opening episodes, and those sort of like things are already explored from the beginning. But I thought it was a really interesting mix of, you know, staying true to the original series. You can also really recognize the actors in the artwork, for example, and, you know, modernizing it a little bit, giving it a little bit more of a fresh feel to it. So yeah, I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series. I'm currently rewatching it along with Becca and her Patreons, and so I'm enjoying every minute of that. And, you know, this comic book series, I definitely want to continue on with that as well. Next up we have one that's also kind of in the Twilight Zone, as in I haven't decided yet, and that is Earth's Children by Jean M. Owl, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce her last name. This is basically historical fiction, but it is like prehistoric historical fiction. So we're looking at basically the meeting of Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. And so we have the first, and so our protagonist is basically sort of like the first Homo sapiens. I'm hoping that I'm getting the right terms here, because I think it's Neanderthals and Homo sapiens that are meeting. But so our protagonist is a girl who was left behind by God knows who, and she's taken in by this tribe of Neanderthals, but she doesn't really fit in because she has a different brain than the people around her, so she thinks differently, she looks differently, and so she's kind of on the outskirts of this society. She's being brought up by this sort of like shaman of this tribe, more or less, and you know, I cannot really go into more with that, first of all, because I vaguely only remember what it was further about. But the reason why I didn't continue on with it at that time was because a friend of mine who had read it was saying like, oh yeah, the second one, I didn't really like the second one. And so that really just kind of put me off, made it so that I started procrastinating on that book. And now it's been so long that, you know, I would have to reread the entire series, and these are massive books, but I will probably do it. I think that I'm very intrigued to try and do it in any case. They are all available to me in my local library, so probably once I reach your TBR, I will make a project out of doing so. Next up, we have the Gentleman Bastard series. So I read the first book of this in the month of August. Should be reading the second one in the month of September, but we'll have to see whether Becca's Bookathon is going to allow me to do that or not, or whether I need to shift them to October, for example. But so, Gentleman Bastard series is a series in which we are following basically the sort of like thieving crew as they try to pull off a big heist, and as they get sucked into another heist and another conspiracy plot. I really enjoyed this. This has like dual timeline where you have a section that looks back at the past, at, you know, Loch Lamora in this case as a young boy, and then as the members of his thieving crew start getting added on, and then the present day timeline. And I thought that was an interesting way, you know, you get to establish these relationships and these characters very well in the past timeline without, you know, sacrificing action within the present timeline, for example. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book in the end. It took me a while to get into it. I will say it has a little bit of a slower start, but I'm very eager to continue on now, so I definitely hope that I'm going to roll something for Becca's Bookathon that's going to allow me to read this one pretty soon. Next up we have The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry by Rachel Joyce. This is a case where they are basically companion novels, but I am interested in continuing on with it. So you do have The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, which I read, and then you have the story of Queenie Heresy, I think her name is, which is a character that you stumble upon within The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. I would have to reread The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, I think, in order to read the second one, or I can just read the second one without the first one, since I think they're more like companion novels. The reason why I'm still interested in this one is because I do like Rachel Joyce's writing a lot. So The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, I think, can kind of see it as like the 100-year-old man who jumped out of the window and disappeared or something like that. So it's just a story of sort of like a grumpy old man who goes walking one day, I think, and it's just about where he ends up and the people he meets along the way. My memory is a little bit vague on that because it's been a while, but I think that there's no real plot to this story, that is just what it is. But I did definitely enjoy it a lot, and I have read another Rachel Joyce that I really enjoyed, so I do want to read more Rachel Joyce, and so I'll probably end up completing the series at some point in time. Then we've got the Loki duology by Joanne M. Harris, which starts with the Gospel of Loki. Second book is the Legends of Loki. I do still want to read the Legends of Loki at some point. I'm just a little bit less interested in it because Sana from Voyage to Words, who absolutely loved this book, and this is one of her favorite books, I think, she said that like the Legends of Loki was just a little bit less impressive. You know, she liked it a little bit less, and so for that reason, I guess it's also not as prominent on my wish list as this one was. But I do think that my library also has the Legends of Loki. So once I reach your TBR, it's just another book that I will eventually get around to in order to complete the series. And you know, obviously this is a retelling of Norse mythology, and it's told through the perspective of Loki, which is a really fun perspective to look at because, you know, he's kind of the sort of like trickster god, so he's got like something up his sleeve all the time. Is basically, you know, part of the gods, but really not really feeling like he is part of the family, and, you know, has a lot of resentment towards some of these gods, while at the same time, you know, avoiding to admit that he actually loves some of these characters as well. So it brings some interesting dynamics to these stories. And then we get to a series that I should actually be caught up to by the end of this month, but, you know, I cannot be sure of that, and that is Mistborn Era 2 by Brandon Sanderson. So this is the first one in Mistborn Era 2, The Alloy of Law. I am currently on to the third one, which is the most recent one that was published in 2022. Normally we will get the fourth and final book within that series, so, you know, I still have time to catch up to it, but it's definitely the plan that I finish it in September if Becca's Bookathon allows, otherwise in October. So since this is a follow-up to Mistborn Era 1, there's not a whole lot that I can actually say about this, but so in Mistborn, we're basically in a universe in which metals can be ingested in order to have magical powers at your disposal. The origin of this story is Mistborn Era 1, in which the world is ruled by a sort of evil, overpowering lord. There's a whole lot of injustice within this world. And we follow this crew who's basically trying to pull the ultimate heist. They are trying to overthrow the final empire. This continuation, Mistborn Era 2, takes place centuries past the events of Mistborn Era 1, and so we see the evolution of this world. And so this is more a sort of like industrial era story, and so in this one we have such things as guns, we have trains being developed and things like that, and all of those will obviously have interesting elements to bring to this magic system. So I have had a mixed experience with this series so far, so I was pleasantly surprised with the first one, disappointed with the second one, so we'll see what the third one will do, hopefully still this month, but yeah. I should be caught up to this when I do another update in 2022. Next up we have the Seasonal Quartet by Ellie Smith, so this is autumn, winter, spring and summer. I have read all three previous books. This is a library copy of summer. You would think that that means that I'm going to be reading it soon, but I basically just went to the library to avoid going to bookshops and buying books, but I think this will probably be returned to the library without reading it because I just don't have the time at the moment. But so, in the Seasonal Quartet we basically just have a book set within each season, and they aren't really linked to one another, but I think that I read somewhere that this final one, Summer, is going to link them, so I do actually want to reread the series before I dive into Summer. I have mixed experiences once again with the series as well. I did quite enjoy autumn, don't remember what I thought of winter, and then I really loved spring. So I do definitely want to continue on with the series. Basically, Ellie Smith has been writing this like as close to publication date as possible, and as a result they are very sort of timely, so the sooner I can get to this the better. This might potentially talk about the pandemic. It depends on, you know, how close to publication date she was writing these, because this one came out in August last year, I think. So perhaps it like just missed the pandemic era of our lives. But so, for example, Autumn was the first book to mention Brexit, for example. So yeah, it is contemporary fiction, it is literary fiction, so it's definitely not for everybody. And I definitely also had my difficulties with getting into autumn and winter, for example. Then we have The Singing Hill Cycle by Nhi Vo. This is a duology, I think, of novellas, and I have listened to the first one of that, and I was intrigued by it, but I also found there to be something missing, I guess because it is a novella. But I did really like the sort of like way which this was told, because basically this is a novella in which we have sort of like campfire story. Basically we have somebody telling a story within this story, which is always a sort of format that I really like. But I just thought that because it was a novella, the story within the story was then just like not developed enough for my taste. But I think I want to reread it physically, because I just think that I lost a few things by listening to the audiobook, because I don't always have the same amount of focus when it comes to audiobooks. So I do still want to give this another go. And then we have the New York trilogy by Paul Auster. This, I don't know how to classify this. I think this is like crime basically, or detective basically, but it doesn't feel like a crime or detective novel because I don't like those. It's basically sort of like experimental crime or mystery, I guess. I really don't remember a whole lot about it. I think the first one starts with a mysterious phone call, and the first one also has a sort of like graphic novel adaptation that does a wonderful job of, you know, playing with the meta levels of this text. But as is clear, I don't remember. So I definitely, because I do have the whole trilogy on my shelves, I was considering unhauling it at some point, but then I reread that first chapter and I really liked that writing style again, and I was like, yeah, this is the reason why I like this book and why I kept this on my shelf. So I do still want to give this one a go, and so by next year it should be completed, because, you know, it's part of my TBR and I want to reach your TBR by that point, so that should be an update for next year. Next up we have the Polar Bear Explorers Club by Alex Bell. In principle I guess I'm done with this, but I haven't read the Ocean Squid Explorers Club, which, I mean, maybe you could see it as part of a new series, I'm not entirely sure. It is basically companion to Polar Bears Explorers Club, because within the Polar Bear Explorers Club we are mentioning the Ocean Squid Explorers Club, and in the final book we actually have a character from the Ocean Squid Explorers Club be part of their crew, I think, or was he part of another club still? But so in any case, I'm considering it as a whole in here, and maybe one day I'll decide that I don't want to continue on with it, but you know, I haven't made that decision yet, and so it's still in here. So this is a middle grade series in which we follow a girl called Stella, who was basically just left outside in the snow for her adoptive father to find her. And so he's part of the Polar Bears Explorers Club, and he wants to go on an expedition. And Stella really wants to go with him, but girls aren't really allowed to be part of the Polar Bears Explorers Club. So it is a story all about, you know, acceptance, about, you know, camaraderie, about identity. And I really liked the friendship bonds and the found family aspect to this story. Loved how it was constantly reaffirming that, you know, Stella's father is her father, even if he's not her biological father. Loved the positivity to this story and the adventure aspect to that sort of polar setting and all the things we explore within that one. So really had a great time with those books. And so I would definitely want to give Ocean Squid Explorer Club a go as well. Next up, one that I really want to continue on, but I basically haven't invested in the rest of the series yet because of my sort of like book buying ban, and that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. So I definitely want to continue on with the series, because I had a mixed experience with this first book, but I still saw huge potential, and I really love that sort of like Chinese setting, Chinese history aspect to it. Really want to see when we get closer to the sort of like more modern day Mao Zedong storyline, because basically through this story R.F. Kuang wanted to explore the sort of like origin story of a Mao Zedong. How does somebody become a figure like Mao Zedong in Chinese history? And so our main protagonist is definitely somebody who is willing to go all the way in order to reach her goals, and her goals are basically to be a prominent person, an important person, to have people listen to her. And so from an early stage in this book, it's clear that she is willing to go all the way for that. You know, she has to pass some exam in order to get to the most prestigious military academy of the land, and she manages to do that by, you know, burning her hands whenever she feels sleepy in order for her to study more and more, to keep on studying, to be able to put in the time that she needs to ace that exam. And so throughout the book we will see more of those sort of questionable, almost self-harming methods that she's using. And we will see how that sort of ruthlessness that she has towards herself from time to time can definitely also extend outwards. There is also sort of like magic school part to this. The military academy is not a magic school, but in that academy she will, through circumstances, also be introduced to some magical powers. I didn't necessarily like the second half of the book as much as I liked the first one, but I definitely like how this book goes about showing the brutality of war, the reality of war. It is very much closely tied as well to the Second Sino-Japanese War and to the real life events that happened within that war. And so I'm very eager to see what happens next, and apparently this book really plays with people's emotions and will leave people heartbroken and in need of therapy, so I need to get on that and figure out why. Then we also have the Queen Thieves series by Megan Wallen Turner. I've only read the first one of these. I found it to be enjoyable, especially towards the ending of it. I really appreciated what it had done. It has this sort of like charismatic daredevil, intelligent sort of main character that I really like. So in this one we are following a thief who's basically like let out of jail. He has been like stealing something from the king himself, I think, and he's let out of jail in order to help them steal something from a neighboring kingdom. And so it's a lot about the adventures along the way and the sort of like reluctant bond that is growing between his companions and him. And you know, throughout the story you start to see that he likes to play dumb, but that actually there's a lot more going on behind the scenes and a lot more that he is, you know, actively plotting than what he is letting on. I really like the first one, and I'm not entirely sure yet whether I want to continue or not, because over time it's become clear that I've not really prioritized it, but basically maybe at some point I just need to make it a priority and just like get to one of these books every month or something like that. Then we have another comic book series, which is The Scorpion by, it doesn't say the full names here. So it mentions two names, which is Marini and Desberg, but I don't know whether I have the full names anywhere here. No, it doesn't seem like it. So this is basically I would consider this kind of like The Hunchback of Notre Dame, because we have a sort of like priestly figure, we have a sort of gypsy woman, and the Scorpion is basically sort of like cryptic character raised in the dark. Nobody really knows where he comes from. He's basically sort of like assassin. I really quite enjoyed The World. It's kind of sort of like darker story, but I caught up to like, I don't know, the first 8 or so, and then I had to wait for the next one. So I think I have up until volume 10, but there are like 2 more I think at this point in time, maybe even more than that. And so I kind of lost interest with it at that point in time. You know, when I was caught up, I lost interest with it at some point in time, and so I haven't decided yet whether I'm banning it or not, or whether I'll just reread them at some point. You know, they're comic books, they're really not that long to get through, so maybe I will just do that at some point. We are almost at the end, final 2 series. So next up we have The Themis Files by Sylvan Neuvel. This is one that, you know, I am really debating abandoning. I read Sleeping Giants by Sylvan Neuvel and I thought it was okay, but I didn't. I was quite disappointed with it. I was expecting to love it and I didn't love it. So basically in this one we are following a girl who, when she was a young girl, she got lost at some point in the woods, I think, or something, and she fell into a giant hand. And so this hand is part of a sort of like robot or alien or something like that. I'm not really sure what it is part of, but pieces of it have been found throughout the world and they're trying to assemble it. This is told through mixed media. You have a lot of interviews and reports and things like that, but as I said, ultimately I was just expecting it to be more than it was. I was expecting to like it more than I did, but maybe I should try the audiobook for it at some point. I definitely do still have the second one on my shelves because at that point in time I was not smart enough yet to not buy sequels when you haven't read the first book yet, but so I do definitely want to reread the first one and dive into the second one, and then I'll make my decision. Is it worth my time to continue on with the series or not? It is a series that is quite beloved on BookTube, but as I said, I'd read it before BookTube and I just was let down by it, so I don't know whether I do want to spend my time with it. And the same goes for the final one. Also very much a critically acclaimed, beloved series that I liked, but I think I gave it a too high rating the first time I read it, and I don't see myself picking it up, but I haven't fully decided yet. And so that is the Thomas Cromwell trilogy by Hilary Mantel. The first book being Wolf Hall. The second book is a lot shorter, so perhaps I'll still try the second one. Both Wolf Hall and Bring Down the Bodies, the second book, have won the Booker Prize. And then the third book, The Mirror and the Light, which was published in 2020, I think, was nominated as well for the Booker Prize. But so this is a trilogy in which we follow the life of Thomas Cromwell. It is told in these sort of like scenes, so we don't get a fully cohesive story, but we have these sort of scenes, and sometimes we also switch in times, and so that made it quite confusing for me, as I don't know anything about Thomas Cromwell, and so from time to time I had to be like, wait, what? Where are we now in the timeline of his career? And so it was quite confusing to me at times, but I did like the writing style in the moment itself. I liked the story, the way it was progressing. However, have I thought about this book since finishing it? Do I have fond memories now of having read it? No, not really. So do I want to put in the effort to reread this, read the sequel, which is a shorter one, and then dive into the massive volume that is The Mirror and the Light? I am thinking more and more that probably not, so perhaps next year this will be in the abandoned pile, but I haven't fully made that decision yet. I think once I reach your TBR, I'll really like rethink whether I want to continue with some of these things or not, whether I want to put my time into those or not. But at this point in time, because I'm so focused on, you know, finishing my TBR, and because I don't have the sequel, it is definitely not a priority for that reason. I haven't really put a lot of effort into making those types of decisions yet. But so those are it. Those are the series that I'm currently in the middle of, that, you know, I still have some volumes available to me to dive into, but you know, I just need to find the time to do so. So if you've read any of these series and you want to weigh in on whether I should absolutely continue, whether I should prioritize, or whether you want to let me know that I should just as well put them aside, definitely do so down below in the comments, and we can have a little bit of a discussion about it. And so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys for next one. Next one within this series will probably be the books that I have caught up to. So if you're subscribed to my channel, be on the lookout for that video in hopefully the near future. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and see you for the next one. Bye!